Hi, and welcome back to Purple Collar Life. In today's video, we're talking about 3 things we wish we would have known before we got this pontoon boat.
Ease up.
So first, a little bit of history about this pontoon boat. This is a 2011 Sun Tracker Party Barge, 21 foot, 60 horsepower. The 60 horsepower is a Mercury Bigfoot 60 horse EFI engine. And we bought this boat 3 summers ago, so this is our 3rd summer with the boat. We have also a 1994 Sport Nautique 300 plus horsepower that we've skied and wakeboarded behind for a long time. And we have a 2006 Sea-Doo GTX. And we made a whole video about why we bought this pontoon boat 3 years ago. I'll put a link to that video up above and down below in the description.
Because we never really had, it wasn't a goal to own 3 boats.
Right, it wasn't our desire. We live over an hour away from this lake that we like to boat on, so it's not like we have a lakeside house and we've got these boats in the water all the time. We use them when we come to the lake to camp or to visit or to spend the day in the sun like today and on the water, but it's not like we get to use them every single day. Okay, so let's get right to it. 3 things we've learned about being pontoon boat owners after 3 summers of having the boat. Number 1, there's a lot of things you can do with a pontoon boat that we hadn't really believed you could do. So we kind of had the impression that once you got a pontoon boat, we could be out here floating around on the water.
And floating was it.
And floating was it, and you know, going from A to B, especially with a 60 horsepower, when I'm used to 300 horsepower in the ski boat, a big V8 Ford engine. I thought, oh, 60 horsepower, it's basically gonna be just like a fishing boat just putting around on the lake.
And I was even thinking like a large kayak.
Yeah.
That was gonna be the extent of it.
But it's actually been much more than that for us. I've been impressed. We made a video, and I'll put a link up above or down below in the description, of trying to water ski behind this boat, and I can water ski behind this boat. So that was kind of something that we hadn't really thought about, was that we could still do some of our favorite water sports even with this pontoon boat with 60 horsepower.
Yeah, so you're able to ski. It's not easy for you to ski, but you're still able to ski and
maximum
enjoy it.
Speed is probably
13 to 17.
Yeah, 13 to 17.
Depending on the weight of the skier. Yep. And Mackenzie and I have both been able to easily get up on a wakeboard. Now we don't do, even on the ski boat, you know, we don't do tricks and jumps and flips in the air. So for what we like to do, just get up, be able to go back and forth and be out on the water. This pontoon boat has been totally fine. I find it just as enjoyable wakeboarding behind this as I did behind the Nautique.
But you don't get the big wakes. It's kind of just a ride on the water.
Yeah.
And the other thing that we can do behind this boat is tubing. So I had imagined that we would be maybe able to tow a tube. It would be kind of like tubing down the river, is what I thought it would be like, but just behind the boat attached by a rope. But you can do some tubing behind this boat. We would say it's a mild tubing ride compared to what you get behind the ski boat.
Probably mild to moderate, depending on the age level. Like my 8-year-old nephew, you know, to him on the hot dog tube behind this, like that's a pretty fun ride.
And I'll put an Amazon affiliate link down below in the description to the hot dog tube that we got to tow behind this pontoon boat. I did a lot of research on what tubes can provide the most fun without slowing down a pontoon boat like this. So the hot dog tube, the way it's formed with almost like pontoons on the side of it and then a center tube section. We got the 3-person hot dog tube, again, link down below in the description.
And I think now having that and using it, I think that's a really good tube for this kind of pontoon boat to be able to give some type of a like thrilling ride. Mm-hmm. Because the other kind, like the flat tubes and things like that, you wouldn't really get that with it.
Right.
We have been able to teach a few athletic teenagers on the boat how to ski and wakeboard, actually both. So we've had a 14-year-old last summer and then 15 this summer, a a 16-year-old and a 19, 20-year-old that we've been able to teach to ski and wakeboard. And we thought maybe this type of boat and not having as much power, it would be more difficult to teach anybody. Like if you already knew how to do it, that you would be able to, but the teaching part, and all three of them were able to learn to ski and or wakeboard and seem to have a really good time.
And I think part of my impression came from growing up. You would go to the SeaWorld ski shows and, you know, they had the big ski boats like ours, and I thought, well, the only way you can ski is if you have a big ski boat. So it was nice to learn that this boat can provide some of that fun and even teach people how to ski. Woohoo! It can be done, water skiing behind a 60 horsepower pontoon boat.
Right, and we were not, when we bought this 3 summers ago, we thought all of that was just going to be out of the question.
And another thing we've learned that we've enjoyed about this pontoon boat, we knew that with a pontoon boat, you know, you see it all the time, they drive right up to shore, people open the front door and hop out onto the ground without really even getting wet. And we knew that was a possible thing, but we hadn't really anticipated how nice that would be.
Very nice.
So the ski boat, I'm more with an anchor buddy system way out in the water. I sometimes even have to swim out to get to it.
I mean, we're talking like neck high, over your head high,
yeah,
swimming out.
Yeah, so it was really nice with the pontoon boat to not have to get soaking wet every single time to get the boat in and out.
And again, we knew that. We've watched people with pontoon boats, but we weren't anticipating how nice that was going to be.
Another thing with the pontoon boat we knew about, but we hadn't really thought about how nice it would be, is the Bimini cover. So our ski boat doesn't have a cover, and I know some boats do, but we've never had shade on a boat like you have. And the amount of shade you get with an 8.5-foot beam like the pontoon boat has, and a nice big Bimini top like that, it provides a good safe space to get into the shade when it gets really hot and sunny out. And Olive enjoys that space a lot of the time.
Well, Olive wouldn't be able to be out with us without it.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good list of things that we bought the pontoon boat thinking that we were just going to be floaters and loungers and things that we realized were actually possible with this type of pontoon boat.
And we've been keeping a list here on their phone so we wouldn't forget anything. One of the things I wanted to add was this thing with the 60 horsepower sips fuel. So you can put 40 gallons of gas in this and you're gonna have fun on the water for days. Whereas with our 300 horsepower ski boat, plan on filling the boat back up if you're towing a lot of wakeboard and tubes and skiers around the lake all day long. You're gonna use a lot more gas in that V8
daily. You're gonna fill it up daily.
Compared to with this, we can, you know, be day after day after day and not have to fill up. Okay, the second thing we've learned after 3 years of pontoon boat ownership, and those first things were all kind of positives.
They were all positive.
Positive spins on having a pontoon boat. There are some things that we would say are
still drawbacks.
Drawbacks or maybe unanticipated things about a pontoon boat. So the first one is, and we talked about the ability to ski and wakeboard behind this boat, which has been an unexpected thing. The other side of that is carrying the skis and the wakeboard onto the boat with us. And the ropes. And so there's a lot of storage on a pontoon boat, but it's not made for skis and wakeboards. Like our ski boat has a ski locker underneath and a wakeboard storage area. So those things end up just sitting on the floor, which is a nice wide open space. Typically, it becomes cluttered with the skis and the wakeboard. Now we can tuck the ropes and stuff into the seats, but I don't like to tuck them in there when they're wet, so they end up sitting out on the boat until they dry out.
But I still think it's really funny that is one of your biggest drawbacks to the pontoon boat, is having 2 skis and a wakeboard sit out, that clutter bothers you. But he doesn't seem to like transfer that into having clutter bother him at home.
Yeah, definitely on the boat, it bothers me.
We need to work on the transference skills.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the other things that now that we've learned that their water sports are possible behind a pontoon boat, drawbacks obviously in a pontoon boat are what, the speed
and the torque. So the ability to just get up on plane quickly, you know, when you only have 60 horsepower and you've got 21 feet of a pontoon in front of you, you're not gonna just hop right up on plane and get to speed quickly. So you're kind of plowing through the water when you're trying to get someone up on skis. You know, the boat's flying through the water, the skier's flying through the water, and that's just the downside of having 2 pontoons and a small engine with 60 horsepower engine.
Because with our Nautique, You know, I remember when we were, you know, almost 20 years younger and had the Nautique, going through this lake, I was driving and there were 5 of you. It was like the, you know, the SeaWorld show
Right.
back behind us. There were 5 of you. I pulled up out of the water skiing. And, you know, obviously you're not going to be able to do something like that with this. And also, we are limited, like if we would like to invite, you know, several family and friends out with us, we would be limited on whether or not we would be able to ski or tube or wakeboard, because the amount of weight and people in the boat is also going to determine if the boat has enough power to get people up out of the water.
Right, so we usually figure that with Jennifer, me, and Olive on the boat, our maximum speed on this boat, wide open throttle, is going to be like 18.7 miles per hour according to the GPS. You put someone behind us on skis and your maximum speed might be 17 miles an hour once they're out of the water. But when you're trying to get them out of the water, it takes you a little bit of time to get up to that 17 miles an hour.
Yeah, so if
The
we
other
had
thing to
a lot,
consider-
if we had a lot of people on,
Right, that would slow the boat down and it would be a lot harder for the person to get up out of the water.
Yeah.
The other thing is that there is a capacity plate on this boat. This boat has a maximum of 9 people that are allowed to be on it, with a maximum weight of about 1,800 pounds. And our maximum engine size on this boat is 90 horsepower. So even if we upgraded the engine to a 90 horse, we're not gaining, it's not going to be a 200 horsepower pontoon boat, it's going to be a 90 horse pontoon boat. At least here in Pennsylvania, one of the things to remember is you've got to have space on your boat for whoever's behind the boat. So when we tow that 3-person tube like we talked about, that means there can only be 6 people on this boat to leave enough space for those 3 people to get back on the boat. But if you had 6 people on the boat and 3 people on a tube, I'd say that would be a really tough pull for this boat to really get moving with something like that. So we talked about the video I made where I can ski behind this boat, and we talked about the fact that Jennifer and Mackenzie can wakeboard behind this boat. I cannot wakeboard behind this boat. I just can't seem to get up on top of the water. You know, pulling a wakeboard is a lot different than pulling a skier. When you're pulling a skier, the skier is up on top of trying to get up on top of the water. It's almost like a pull up on top. Whereas the wakeboard is a flat surface. It's like plowing against the water until there's enough pressure where the wakeboard can twist up on top. The boat or me don't have enough power to twist that wakeboard up on top as you're plowing through the water with the board.
And the other drawback to the pontoon boat trying to use it for water sports is it's much slower and difficult, like when you have a skier down or someone falls off a tube and you have to circle back around and pick them up. It's a slow process to do that. It's not nearly as fast or maneuverable.
So compared to the ski boat where you're turning a rudder right behind a propeller and you can turn it literally with your finger and turn on a dime, a pontoon boat kind of skims across the water a little bit differently because there's nothing cutting down into the water to help you make that turn.
No tight turns.
There's no tight turns, and even though you can maneuver to a person after they've fallen in the water, and think about when you're trying to teach someone to ski, you do quite a few loops around to bring the rope back to them. In this pontoon boat, that's going to take you longer. You're going to take a little bit wider loop, and it's going to be a slower paced loop than if you were in the ski boat.
But so far, really, all of our drawbacks of the pontoon boat are that it's just not where you can do water sports, but you can't do it at the level that you can on a ski boat.
Right, yes.
So really, that's not really huge drawbacks. It's just drawbacks if you're wanting to use the pontoon boat for water sports.
Yes. Okay, so the third thing we've learned after 3 years now with this pontoon boat is don't wait.
Don't wait.
We've had the opportunities to teach Mackenzie and a lot of her friends how to ski and wakeboard and spend time with them and be on the water. And while it might be something where you could be shopping and saying, well, I want a pontoon boat, but it's going to have to be a tri-tune and it's going to have 250 horsepower and that's $70,000, so we're going to save up
and even if it, I mean, whether it's a pontoon boat or a ski boat, any of those brand new boats, you're looking at a ton of money.
Right.
And it's really, I mean, if you have all of that extra money, like, great, you know, spend it if that's what you want to do. But to think about how, you know, almost 20 years ago, we bought a 1994 ski boat, which is a really nice boat. The amount of fun and opportunity that we've had on it, it just, it was worth every penny.
So 3 years ago, we didn't start out the year with a goal of adding a third boat. We weren't like, oh, let's get another boat. We had a situation where, and like I said, we'll put the link to the video up above, but we either had to stop boating for the summer or find a boat that Olive could be on with us. So we bought this pontoon boat, imagined the float life was going to be that summer, but here we are 3 summers later, and this is still the boat that we take out the most because Olive can come with us and we can do those fun things with other people.
And I'm still a firm believer that you should not go in, well, I don't feel like you should go into debt for even a vehicle, let alone a recreational vehicle. But if you have a budget, you know, set your budget, make your list of the types of things that you're really interested in doing. You know, if you want to ski or if you have teenagers that you think you're going to want to go, you know, faster and have a better, more exciting tubing ride, like maybe you need to go the ski boat route. Or if your children are young or you just want to learn in general and you don't necessarily need to have the sort of like athletic ride part of it, you know, maybe it's a pontoon boat. But make your list of things that you think that you want to do with your family on the boat. Okay. Up again. Woohoo! You know, go visit a boat shop and talk to them about what your, I guess your wish list is, and see what's out there.
And they'll have something they can sell you.
And the thing is too, you know, we have found that used boats, if you take care of them, have maintained their value fairly well. So if you have your budget and you buy a used boat and you take good care of it, and you find that within a few years or whatever that it's not meeting your needs or you want to try something else, chances are you'll be able to recoup most of your money and be able to put that towards something else.
And we've had our ski boat now for 15 years, and I'm fairly confident if we wanted to, we could sell it for probably what we bought it for. The same with this pontoon boat. We've had it for 3 years now, but I still feel like we could sell it pretty much for what we bought it for. So like you said, after that new boat depreciation, I think boats really maintain their value as long as they're well kept. People are willing to pay for a nicely maintained boat.
Now, I still would like to get to the point where we don't have 3 watercrafts. I'd like to just have one, just because of maintenance and getting them out and do you use them enough and all of those things. But I'm glad for right now that we have what we have.
And if there is a pontoon boat manufacturer out there that has a tri-toon boat, we're open to discussions for sponsorships.
We think for us that would probably be the type of boat that we would like to try.
Yeah.
That would give us kind of the pontoon benefits with maybe more of the ski and wakeboard aspect of it.
Right.
But for right now, what we have is working.
Yes. So one of the things we are really happy about is that 3 years ago we gave this 60 horsepower pontoon boat a try. It gave us 3 more years of being able to be out here on the water that otherwise we would have missed out on 3 years of boating.
Because we just would not have left Olive.
Right, yeah. And that means that we wouldn't have been on the boat with Mackenzie and her friends, tubing and skiing and just spending time on the water, having boat sandwiches, which is Mackenzie's favorite boat meal. So I guess part of the points is enjoy the time you have with the people that you want to be on the boat with. So if you're one of those people that are like, well, our kids are 5, there's a lot of expenses, the boat we want's $80,000, we're gonna have to wait and save up for it or wait, 5-10 years. If you can find a boat that you can afford today that's $5,000, $10,000, whatever your budget range is, that's all those more years of enjoyment you'll have with your kids out on the water. I did make a video in the past called 9 things to look for if you're pontoon boat shopping. I'll put a link to that one down below. We did a lot of research, as we do before we buy anything, but before we bought a pontoon boat, I did a lot of research on what I was looking for as far as making sure I was finding a good used pontoon boat that wouldn't be one of those situations where you have it at the shop all the time and the marina's saying, it's going to be about
because
$1,000.
we say that the used boats maintain their value, but you make sure that you do a good job of buying a boat that's in good shape so that we're not in that situation.
Right, yeah. So I do have, I think, 2 videos I've made, what to look for in a used pontoon boat and what to look for in a used jet ski if you're jet ski shopping. So hopefully you found this video informative and entertaining. If so, please give us a big thumbs up down below. Leave those comments if you are like us and have boats or have boating experience, what you've learned about having boats or boats over time, or what the advantages are of different types of boats. Thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll see you again the next time.
Whoa, you almost lost your camera. It's good to go.